What is the number one teaming skill? In other words, what is it when it comes to leading a team or developing a collaborative unit or even leading your family in a way that's unified? What is the number one skill? You know what I've come to believe? It is asking great questions. A good question will open a conversation, but I truly believe a great question could open a soul. I could open a heart. Often we ask questions that are a little too blurry. They don't always get the response that we want. What is a common question that we ask all the time? We pass people by, hey, how's it going? How are you doing? But we don't often ask with specificity. So a few years ago, there was a friend that I was meeting with, another dad. He was telling me, he said, I'm really bothered about my relationship with my daughter. I said, what do you mean? He said, she's 12 years old. And he said, she used to be really interested in what I had to say, or we had great conversations. And now she just seems to be detached. He said, I'll pick her up at school, and on the way home, I'll say, so how did it go today? And she sort of goes, and shrugs her shoulders. And I said, well, you know what I would recommend? Why don't you try to just sharpen the question a little? Why don't you ask her, what was the best thing that happened to you all day today? Or what was the worst thing that happened? So a week later, we're meeting for lunch, and he said, I got to tell you, it worked. I said, what do you mean? He said, my daughter, I picked her up at school, and I asked her, what was the best thing that happened to you all day? He said, I got to tell you, she started talking. She talked all the way home. She was still talking after we got home. So often questions, if they're tweaked a little so that they're sharp, they're to the point, then they can do incredible things to open up doors. Great questions can open up great opportunities, can help you learn great insights in every area. In the area of work, Steve Jobs is well known for a question that he once asked John Sculley, who was a VP of PepsiCo, that he wanted to work for him in the area of finances. He asked him, he said, I'm rebuilding Apple, would love to have you come. And Sculley said, I've got a great job. I make a lot of money, really have no desire to leave. So at the end of the talk, Steve Jobs said, one more question. He said, what? He said, do you want to spend the rest of your life making sugar water, or do you want to change the world? So Sculley, that was all it took. He challenged him. He ended up leaving his job. He went to work with Steve Jobs and worked with him for years. But another area is in marriage. My wife, Pamela, and I, every now and then we'll go to a restaurant. You'll see an older couple sitting there. They're eating their meal. They're looking at everyone in the room except one another. Pamela and I will look at each other and say, that is not the way we want to grow older in marriage. And we laugh because you'll look at a younger couple. They're sitting, in a booth, and they're holding their cell phones. And they're working on their cell phones and not even talking. And I say, well, hey, maybe they're texting one another. You're beautiful. I love you. But truth be known, we have to work intentionally at opening our relationships and building them. And the best team tool that we know is asking great questions. So there are tools available here on Teaming Life that will help you with this important skill. It will help you as a leader. It will help you as a team director. It will help you as a husband and as a wife. Ask great questions.